Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm looking a little bit crazy for the intro because we are going to be testing out the new Jaclyn Hill Morphe Vault. Now they previously did release the Vault to influencers and a lot of reviews were coming up saying that there was patchy shadows, they weren't pigmented, they were kind of hard to blend. I did use all 4 of those palettes and I did have videos. I think I put up maybe 2 of those videos. I had 4 videos ready, but then I thought, what's the point, because they recalled it. So basically they saw reviews coming in that it was patchy and there were some issues with the shadows, and they pulled the collection, and I don't know if they reformulated. I think they more so just had them pressed differently. Something was wrong in production was my understanding. So now we have the new Vault here. I just got them in the mail. The original palettes were meant to release on June 26th. They changed that and now it's August 14th. I will have all the info down below. And I just really want to see kind of if I can see a big difference here. I did use the other palettes, as I said. I did notice that some of the mattes, specifically the deep mattes, I did have some issues blending. I came up with great looks, I have to say, some of my favorite looks, but I did notice that I was having a little bit of issues with kind of the pigment just grabbing in certain areas and then not wanting to blend out, a little bit of choppiness. I did not notice too many issues with the shimmers. I felt like they were all pretty consistently beautiful, maybe a couple issues here and there, but from what I used, they swatched beautifully and I don't see a big difference comparing those. It's mostly the mattes and really the darker mattes. The 2 palettes that I noticed the most struggling with in terms of the dark matte shades was Bling Boss, which is the purple palette. I just noticed with some of these deeper shades, it was just a little bit more difficult to work with. I made it work in the end, but I noticed a little bit of choppiness. And then also with Dark Magic, which is the kind of green one. I think these are the most exciting anyways. These are the most kind of colorful, deep, vampy ones. So I think I'm gonna go in with the Dark Magic today and see what I can come up with. I really wanna compare the original to the reformulated or, you know, the redone palette. So I can see is it easier, is it creamier, is it blending nicer, and you guys can see here on camera. So looking at the palettes, they look identical. This is the original and this is the new one. You really cannot tell them apart aside from the code on the back. So I really don't know other than swatching them. And I found swatching all 4 palettes, there's some that are better in the original, some that are better in the new. So it's kind of hard to tell. Again, I think we're just gonna have to play with it on our eyes. So as I mentioned before, these are launching on August 14th. They are $15 each, or you can get the Vault at a discount for $49. And then you can also use BabsBeauty to save 10% more on that. So you do save quite a bit if you want to pick up all 4. So it's a really good deal. You're getting 40 shadows for about 45 bucks. So I will leave my code on the screen and down below. I don't know an exact time yet, but I'll update when I do know. All right, I have you guys zoomed in and we're just gonna go for it. I think I'm gonna do the old palette on this side and then I'm gonna do the new palette on this side. Okay, so starting off in the old palette, I'm gonna go into the shade Potion, which is this kind of grungy green shade. I know some people had some issues with this, so I'm gonna use this in the crease and hope that it works out. So I'm just blending this sort of as a transition shade. So far I'm noticing a little bit of grabbing right here. Just a little bit though. I'm not sure if that's just my blending or not, so let's try on the other eye. So I'm using a different brush, again going in with Potion, and this is the new palette, and we'll see if I have any of the issues of grabbing or if it's just more seamless. Okay, so here's the new palette, here is the old. I did use different brushes, but I noticed that this went on softer and it built up, whereas this side, where you put your brush, it had that tendency to grab. I've been trying to kind of blend this out, and I don't think it looks like terrible, but I feel like it's just, I don't know if you can see right there, it's just grabbed on. Whereas this side is just more of a kind of like a smooth blend. So I'm not sure. We're just gonna keep going on and see. I feel like they do look different, but for now, I don't know. I just noticed a little bit of grabbing over here. Okay, so I wanna further deepen up the outer corner, and I'm gonna go into Inside Job, which is like that deep kind of I don't want to say army green. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a really deep green. I'm going to use the same brush that I used before on this side. And we're just going to focus it lower and on this outer edge. So far on this one, I'm not noticing too many issues. I used this one in my last tutorial or last time, and I mean, I noticed maybe a little bit of patchiness, but dark shadows, like this is almost black, so I kind of expected a little bit. Okay, so that is the old palette. So now we're going back into the new one, again into that same inside job with the brush I used on this side as well. And I'm just going to apply on the outer part of my eye. So these darker shades in the reformulated seem less intense, like they don't grab on as much. Almost a little bit lighter, a little bit more forgiving so you can build them up, is what I'm noticing. Okay, so here are two shades now, and it's hard for me to tell a difference. I feel like I saw more of a difference with that first shade, but even on this, I feel like it's a little bit darker right here, and then I'm having a hard time building it up, whereas this one is more just blown out. I've been trying to kind of blend this. I don't think, again, it looks bad. This one just looks overall more even. Okay, now I want to go on the inner corner, and I want to go into Busted. So I'm going to go into the old palette, and we're going to apply that on the inner corner. I think I want to do maybe like a halo eye. Okay, so I'm going into the shade Busted. This is the old palette, and I'm using a little Wayne Goss brush. This is like a navy, deep navy color. So I'm going to keep this really low and use it to really amp up the inner and outer corner. So just applying it and then going in with that brush. So again, I don't feel like I'm having much issue. I feel like it looks okay. I don't have any complaints as of right now. So let's see if the other side blends easier. Okay, back into the new palette with a new brush, going into Busted. And we're gonna do the same thing. Okay, I'm seeing a difference with this blue. Can you see that? Wow. Okay, it is much more pigmented. You know what? This blue almost felt like, it's like almost like there was a black base behind it, but it was, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if you can see just from me placing that. It's like a true blue. Whereas this side, it's like, I don't know, like almost like a sheared out black. I can see a difference on this one. Okay, so I'm gonna start working on the lower lash line. I'm gonna go into the old palette into the shade Shh, and I'm using a clean brush. And I'm gonna start working this on my lower lash line. And then going into the new palette with the same shade and a different brush. I didn't notice much difference in that shade, but we're gonna go back into the original palette, into Potion. I got a new clean brush, and I'm gonna start working this on the lower lash line, kind of blowing it out. Now I'm going into the new palette with a new brush, and I'm gonna do the same thing. To really deepen up that lower lash line, I'm gonna go back into the shade Busted. And again, this is the original palette with the brush I used before. Okay, doing the same thing on this side, going into Busted with my original brush. I see the biggest difference in this shade and the first green shade. Okay, I think I want to deepen up even more. I'm going to go into Temptress. This is the original palette with a fresh brush. This is a black. And I just want to deepen up a little bit more on the outer corner and the lower lash line. And then you can go in with your brush, doing the same on the other side. New brush. So for the lid, I think I want to go in with Trickery. This is the old palette, and I'm going to spray my brush with a setting spray and apply it to the center of the lid. I'm going to do the same on the other eye. Okay, new brush going into the new palette. This one actually applied nicely, so I think it was more so the problem was with the mattes. Yeah, what I'm noticing is these shimmers are less chunky, or this one in particular. It's very saturated and pigmented, but it's not as chunky as this one. And I notice it in the pan as well. If you look in the pan at Trickery, which is that green I just applied, this is the old one. You can see it's chunky, flaky, and this is the new one. There's like no kick up. All right, guys, so here is the finished look. I threw on some lashes and some mascara. So this is the old palette, or the original palette, and this is the new remade palette. So tell me down below, can you see a difference? I see minor differences in terms of the mattes. Just the blending looks a little bit more seamless on this side. It's a little more choppy on this side. Again, I wouldn't say it's like crazy big difference. I feel like I still got this side to work, but even down here, it's just a little bit more intense, whereas on this side, it's almost like patchy. It's like intense, and then it's kind of sheer where it wouldn't grab. Obviously, this was only one of the 4 palettes, so I'll have to play around with the other ones, but my conclusion is that there are subtle differences, and I mean, that's what we want. We want something to perform nicely. I didn't have any issues with this side specifically. Again, this side, a little bit maybe of patchiness or a little bit of kind of grabbing, specifically the first green shade and then that blue shade. But other than that, I wouldn't really have been able to tell crazy amounts of difference. So I don't know, let me know down below. I mean, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, but you guys are actually watching this on film, and just maybe I'll see more when I'm kind of editing it back to see how everything blended. But I'm definitely glad that they fixed the problem, because I did notice the first time that I used it, I thought it just was a little bit harder to work with than her original palette. So let me know down below in the comments, do you see a big difference? What did you notice? But I definitely feel like this eye came out really pretty. I mean, they both came out pretty. I'm really happy with the look, and I'll continue to play with the other palettes. So that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts, just the way my eyes look down below. If you want more tutorials, let me know down below specifically what palette of the 4 is kind of speaking to you, or you want me to use more in tutorials, and are you planning on picking this up? So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.